Hey everyone, how's it going? I know it's late, but I needed to put this out. I had some requests about it. We're going to talk about defining what it means to defining the meaning of um, managing your relationship. Because I know I talked about it in the last video and the video before that one about red flags. So I wanted to define what does it really mean to manage your relationship. All right, so let's get into this. The idea. One, you have to realize this is not emotional. All right. Hey, what's going on, Day? This is not emotional, meaning over over 20 years of professionally counseling, I cannot tell you how many times have I counseled a couple who's really at that edge of going through a divorce, and I ask them and they say, yes, I love you, I love them, not me, but them, their mates, but yet they still want to separate and they still want to get a divorce. So the first thing you need to realize in all breakups is because it's the lack of the attention to needs. So in this context, if we realize the needs, then we have to realize a couple of things. One, if it's a need that I need, and mostly what we're going to go into is Maslow hierarchy of needs. If it's a need that I need that socially in a social environment as an individual I need, then the other person, my mate, needs it also. They have needs. It's the same need list, but different interpretations because of different experiences of lifestyle, how we were raised, culture meaning the environment, the inside meaning the food, the language, and so on. The bad experiences, the good experiences, and so on. So let's go over what I mean about needs. So Maslow hierarchy, the first one says it's physiology needs. So it's air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. Those are the things that I or we as an individual need. The next one, on top of that, is safety, personal security, employment security, resources, health, and property. Okay, on top of that hierarchy is love and belonging, which simply means friendship, intimacy between sexuality, if you will. Family, the family structure, the sense of connection, of belonging. The one on top of that is esteem, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom. And then the top here is self-actualizations. In other words, a desire to become the most that one can be. Okay, so think about it in this context. If you're taking a social class or a psych class or any class of that nature, you already know these things. We already know about Maslow and his hierarchy of needs, and a lot of us already, and those who haven't, it's freely out there. I'll put a link into this later. So if it's me, then I need a physical aspect of a need: air, water, food, shelter, and so on. Personal security, employment, friendship, intimacy, respect, self-esteem, desire to be the best I can be. Okay, if that is for me, then when I have a mate like Jira, I have to realize and be sympathetic to the idea that she has the same needs: physical, safety, love and belonging, esteem, self-actualizations. But the interpretation of each one of us may be different. For example, food. Her food and my food might be two different types of food. Shelter. Her idea of where she's supposed to live and my idea of where we're supposed to live may be different. Sleep. Well, everyone knows that I work a lot and she may work a 9 to 5. So our sleep patterns might be different, clothing, and so on. I have well, today is not so much. Clothing is a certain style because of certain things that we and I do, and reproduction and so on. So each one of personal security, what does it mean to have personal security? My security and her security might be totally different in the idea of security. What does it mean? How is it defined in the security position? Safety needs, employment. As an entrepreneur, there is not that much security is something I have to do, and she might be in the context of I need a job because I need that security. She wouldn't be apt to be an entrepreneur woman kind of deal. Resources and health. So as you see this list, that friendship, her friends, my friends, intimacy, family structure, what does that look like as far as me and her? So in context, when I say we need to manage this, this is what we have to manage. So many times in relationships, we get together in the beginning and we are lovey-dovey and we have this excitement, this possibility of us being together. But then from the possibilities of getting together, we get together, and a lot of relationships starts off with the attraction aspect of the relationship. The attraction in its context is then fulfilled. And then once it's fulfilled, reality kicks in. But then what is reality? Reality is the defining nature of, and we'll use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs as the example, the physical safety needs, loving. When we wake up from, into reality, the physical needs, well, I'm a toucher. I love to touch, and come to find out they may not want to be touched at all. Or security, for example. I need a job versus I'm an entrepreneur, or employment, or how about family structure? All of these things when you're dating in the very beginning of a date needs to be questioned and answered. That's a start. These things need to be addressed. Communication is the key, but it needs to be addressed. And then once you address it and come to a conclusion that how you are and how I am as an individual, right? Two people individually, how we come and how we view, for an example, this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once we come together and understand this, and we come and say we can work this out together, then we have to manage it. Because things change. Life is cycles. You have some good times and you have some bad times. Security is touched on. The love and belonging gets touched on. I'm working too much, or, right? The esteem gets touched on because I'm only thinking about myself and not promoting my mate, for example. And as the relationship grows and grows and grows, the trueness of what is really important gets in play. And to someone, love and belonging might be a little bit more important than security. But it might be opposite to their mate. So the relationship, as the relationship grows, we're using Maslow's hierarchy as the example, but each component needs to be managed. Now, on top of that, we have the hierarchy of financial needs, and this is another component. We have the cash flow and basic needs, financial safety, accumulating wealth, financial freedom, legacy, and so on. These are the things, again, financial. So the two top reasons that people get together and then separate and divorce, the two top reasons, financial and relations, mostly sexual. the needs isn't being taken care of. May I suggest, if your relationship is starting or you've been in a relationship for a while and it's starting to waver a little bit, may I suggest get the Maslow's hierarchy of needs list, go through them, communicate with your mate with them. Okay? There is a needs position, and then there is the emotional needs position. In all relationship, one needs to respect, if you will, each one of our needs. Now, in the list here, I have a need. That need comes with a feeling and emotion. And that emotion needs to be addressed in a certain way, because if it's not addressed in a certain way, the relationship will end. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Accept, believed in, cared about, forgiven is an emotion, is something that I loved, listened to, recognized, respect, trusted, valued. One day I may wake up and I might feel like I love zero. The other day I might wake up and I'll be like, I need a little private time. Those are all feelings, right? Being accepted is a feeling. Being appreciated is a feeling. So let me help you understand how that works in communication. And hopefully this understanding could help your communication in how to respect their emotion, as well as respecting and communicating properly for each one of our needs. Okay, when in communication, let's talk communication. In communication, it's I'm giving out information, the other person is receiving that information. That information that I'm receiving or giving has an emotion attached to it. Give you an example. I feel like what you're wearing is not appropriate. Okay. My mate may say, I heard you, but now I have an emotion behind it. Well, this is what I've worn when you first met me. Okay. She says that back to me because that's coming back to me in response to how she felt about it. I received what she said and I don't like what she said. Now I have an emotional about it, and then vice versa. Arguing kicks in. We can call it debate, but it's an argument. And then from there, the soda bottle theory. Emotion builds and builds and builds and then explodes. Enough is enough, and then I will walk away, or cheat, or drink, or work too much. You get the picture. Communication is simple. When you communicate, you have to be mindful that what you say is attached to an emotion that I may have, and how she receives it might be attached to an emotion and how she receives it. And then in return, when she speaks it back to me, she's telling me how she feels about it. Then I will then bring a understanding, which is a feeling, and we're going back and forth. If you want to salvage your relationship, sometimes you just simply have to not feel towards something. But then it's a catch-22. You don't want to bottle it up either. So in other words, if I say I don't like that, and she says, well, this is what you saw me in the beginning, and then I could then not come back and give her what I think, but I can say, well, yes, that is how I see it, and I love what you wore when I first seen you, but this event is not appropriate for what you are. Would you mind changing? Don't bring in a feeling towards it. Bring an understanding towards it. Let her understand, or let him understand, that when you speak, it is not just based off of an emotion. I don't like that. Well, if that's all you're saying, that's an emotion. You don't, but if you say, I don't particularly like that, and this is why I don't like it, they can then receive what you're feeling as well as a different understanding to that feeling. And if you two are willing to work things out, then that person receiving it and understanding the feeling and understanding the reason behind it can then compassionately have a response appropriately in respect, and then compromise. That's a beautiful thing when you can compromise. Compromising happens when there's understanding, not just, I don't like that. And compromise is also better if you come back to them with just a feeling too. So in communication, just to wrap it up, understand when you say something to your mate, you are expressing a feeling. Don't just leave it as a feeling, give it as a understanding. Say, I don't like it, but this is why I don't like it. Could we work out a compromise, right? Give it more than just a feeling, right? And then if they have compassion, if they respect you, if they understand and want to be with you enough, then they may compromise. Be mindful. Not everyone wants to compromise. And if they don't compromise, be mindful of the relationship. If it can't be managed, then, right? All right. So, hey, Patty. Hey, Gaby. Hey, Manuel. What's going on? All right. So, to recap, when it comes to managing your relationship, I'm using the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is a need that one individual, myself, may need. But when you add another person, they also have the same needs, but different interpretations of those needs. For example, the food might be different. The shelter idea of what a shelter may be different. The friendship and so on might be a different understanding and respect, a desire to become. All of this, I have my idea of what it is. Now that I know what I am, which is a great start, by the way, if you understand and know what you are, how you feel towards these hierarchies, and these are just an example, then bring it to the relationship. That is a better foundation to that relationship, because now you can address these needs and the interpretation of these needs from myself to them, and we can communicate back and forth how we feel towards them. And again, feeling towards them is a natural process. They felt like this before you. So you have to respect them as if they respected it or had their ideas and feelings before you. So in the beginning of a relationship, after the hormones get balanced, you then can address some of these hierarchies and the interpretation of them, and then communicate, this is how I think my house is going to be. Well, you can tell me what your house is going to look like, and can we compromise the house? And if we can, we addressed the needs as well as understood the feelings towards those needs. Certain subjects, when it comes, you have to understand that feeling is your expression. They're going to receive it as a feeling. Meaning, I heard what you said. Now I have a feeling about what you said, and I'm giving you back my feelings about what you said. And if you're not careful, arguments come out of that because two stubborn people about how they feel about something, they will argue it out or debate it out, however you want to look at it. Whatever you do, don't bottle it up. Whatever you do, try to minimize argument. What you can do is, instead of just giving them a feeling, give them an understanding with the feeling. If they feel very hard on this issue, somebody needs to just back away and just let it breathe a little bit. Okay? And then come back into it with more understanding. If it gets a little raised up, just give a little break and then come back and give it a little breather, and so on and so forth. Don't bottle it up. Don't argue your point to the point of ruining a relationship, especially if you like the relationship, because how you feel, they have a right to feel, just like you have a right to feel. Can we compromise it? Okay? So be mindful of the hierarchy, the Maslow hierarchy, the basic needs of feelings, the communication of those feelings, and also financial. Let's please talk about financial. All of these things that what I'm just now referring to, please understand, all of this is what I refer to as managing the relationship. Okay? You have to manage your relationship because you feel it, you're growing, you're seeing life in a different light. Your experience is different than everyone else's experience, especially your mates. And then there's new compromises, new experiences, new things coming into the world, in your world, I should say. And then every now and then, it is nice to look up a list like Maslow's, for example, and others that are out there, and just sit with your mate and just in general conversation and say, hey, safety, are we okay? Are we safe? Are we still trying to build our friendship? Are we trying to build our self-actualizations, which means self abilities of what we can provide or prevent or present to the world? Sexuality is a big one also. We'll talk more on sexuality later. Um, all of those things at all times, not all times like every day. I'm just saying, like every other month, take one and just talk about it. That's managing the relationship, communicating, compromising. Don't argue, just communicate more than feelings, how you feel about something. Give understandings of your feelings, and if you each of you can manage each other, then it's communicating, compromising, and then work together for it. So that, to me, as a psychiatrist, and how I express counsel over the 20 years of what I would say, manage a relationship. If you can do that, that will be wonderful. And every day you won't feel like you love them, because you won't, but you'll feel like you can manage through anything and everything when it comes to hit you, because it will. I hope this brings a little bit more understanding. If you have any more questions, comments, or concerns, please, by all respect, you can message me and email me or anything like that. And if not, I thank you very much. And if nothing else, it is after 10 my time. I'm just wrapping it up here, and like I said, I wanted to give this out before, because tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, I'm just really too busy, and I just really won't be able to. And I'm drinking tea, not wine. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great rest of the evening. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.